Welcome to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. So what does food mean to you? On today's episode, my special guest is Erez Agam. He has a book out and a really interesting website called Immigration to Berlin. And he also has a really interesting story with some tips on how he immigrated to Berlin, if anyone out there might want to do the same, but he has a really interesting story. And we're also going to talk about Easter foods from around the world. You know, in the United States, we have Easter baskets, and we do the chocolate Easter bunnies and jelly beans and chocolate Easter eggs. But there are some really interesting foods that are used to celebrate Easter all around the world. So stay with me, and I'm going to share those. And also, just a reminder to save the date, April 8th, I will be doing my virtual Italian Easter bread bake-along, and you can sign up for that on eventbrite.com. Easter is one of those few days of the year that I know my family does, finds it necessary to do a holiday dinner. And, we usually do a big holiday celebration on Easter, and we have traditional foods and our own Easter meal, or traditional Easter meal, besides all the chocolate goodies that we have to celebrate. You know, Easter is celebrated in so many different ways all around the world. I wanted to share with you some of those different foods that are used to celebrate Easter all around the world. Your Easter menu could be completely different from someone else's across the world. And if you or your family are wanting to try something new this year, here's what people around the globe consider classic Easter dishes. Now, some of these I may not be pronouncing correctly because I only speak 3 languages. I don't speak some of these other languages. So here we go. In Greece, there is a dish called Arni sto forno. Very few Easter meals are complete without lamb in some form in Greece. Served roasted, this lamb is completed by being served with extra ingredients such as potatoes, garlic, cloves, salt, and pepper, and rosemary. In the UK, this would be something I would like, and I do like these hot cross buns. While this sweet is an Easter requirement in many countries, the people of the United Kingdom were the original creators of it. These buns are often topped with currants or raisins, but you could honestly use whatever you like to top it. In Cyprus, there's a dish called flauones, also called cheese pies. And again, I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. The process of making these treats starts on Holy Friday or Good Friday, which is the Friday before Easter, and continue to be baked all throughout Holy Saturday. They are often filled with cheese, eggs, raisins, and mint fillings. Yum, that sounds really good. In Ecuador, we have a dish called fanesca. This soup is only prepared for Easter, making it all the more special in the country of Ecuador. Several ingredients, including multiple vegetables and at least one type of codfish, go into this soup every year, bringing joy to Ecuador every year. In Russia, there's a dish called kulibiaka. This may take some time to cook, but it's well worth the wait. The dish translates to rectangular pie and is often filled with meat or fish. Create a design on top with a crust to make it even more festive this year. In Germany, we have Easter bunny brioche. Take a break from chocolate bunnies and create one out of dough this year. Creating these treats is both delicious and adorable, and they can either be made from scratch or pre-made dough. These dough bunnies are sure to make any child smile. In Italy, we have something called the torta pasqualina, and this is another Easter pie that's filled with herbs, cheese, and eggs. The perfect addition to any Easter feast. Add some soup, or a salad to really make this pie pop. So you can have this soup really as an appetizer. I know I can remember going to my grandmother's house on Easter morning, and she would pull out the torta pasqualina. We would have that as kind of like an appetizer while we just sat around and caught up. So torta pasqualina is really a very popular dish in Italy. In Poland, there's a dish called mazurek. Having a dessert with your Easter feast is practically required. And from the type of dough to the type of filling, this Polish dessert can come in all shapes, sizes, and flavors. It's no wonder that this pastry is on many Easter menus in Poland. In Spain, there's a dish called La Mona de Pascua. What's one more dessert? This delightful cake signifies the end of Lent in Spain. It's most commonly created in the shape of a giant donut, and there's no right or wrong way to decorate it. So in the US, a lot of people do serve deviled eggs, and a lot of American families wouldn't dream of an Easter without deviled eggs. All you need to do to shape these tasty eggs is mayonnaise and mustard, some paprika, maybe a dash of salt, maybe even a little bit of black pepper. Slice them down the middle and top them. That's all it takes. And hey, if you have a lot of colored eggs that are left over, don't know what to do with them, you can use them, open them up, and make deviled eggs. I know that's one of the things we do in our house. So there you go. That's some dishes to help celebrate Easter and other inspirations that you might be able to use if you want to try a new dish this year for your Easter. And of course, as always, there are many other holiday recipes for all around the year in my book, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, Holidays and Special Occasions, and my latest book that was just released, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking Diaries. It's actually a new book, and this one is subtitled Seasons. This is my culinary memoir book. So there are lots more recipes for Easter in that one. And you can find that right now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And we're here today. My special guest he has a really interesting topic, and it's a very unique, I think, topic or very unique book. And I have Erez Agam. He's an author, but he's an expert on immigration, specifically to Germany. And he wrote this interesting book, has an interesting blog on a lot of hidden tips and kind of secrets that people don't know, but it's such a timely topic. So I'm going to let him do most of the speaking today. Erez, thank you so much for being here. And what's the name of the book, just so people know?
Thank you very much, Maria. It's my pleasure to be here. The name of the book is Berlin's Immigration Secrets.
There you go. So I guess we'll just start from the beginning. What gave you the idea or to do this book on Berlin's immigration secrets?
Well, Maria, I would like to explain because it's quite a long story.
Yes.
And that's why I would like to take you back into the 80s.
Yes.
1980s. I was born in Israel, in the Middle East. And back then, I always had this dream about living abroad from a very young age. I remember that I was always curious. I actually grew up on American movies. So, I was exposed to a lot of American culture. And I actually, when I grew up, when I say right now, Maria, immigration, what's the first thing that comes up in your mind right now?
Well, that would be going from one country to another. Is that what you mean? Is that what you're fishing for?
Yes, but a specific destination. Everybody thinks about the US.
Everybody thinks about the US.
Exactly.
I know my grandparents.
Even right now.
Yes.
Even right now, if you go to Google and you type immigration, you see ads about green card, about US visa, and so on.
Yeah.
So back then, the so-called dream was the US. It was like the land of opportunity, land of dreams. Furthermore, we actually saw a lot of Hollywood movies.
Yes.
And nobody even thought about other destinations back then. You guys had like chain migration in the 60s, 70s,
Yes.
80s. It was fully open.
Yes.
Now things have changed, but back then it was the US. So I didn't actually knew what is going to be my destination, but I was thinking about the US because that was all of the information I had at that time.
I see.
So I grew up, and I was very, very curious. Now you gotta understand that it's not only that I had this dream. I grew up in a very, very political area. I was exposed to political tension, to a lot of all of the Middle Eastern heat,
Yes.
the conflict, and I didn't. It's not the life that I wanted for myself. When I thought about my future, I knew that I personally think that the politics should have solved this issue a long time ago. People should have fixed that issue, and it's not the ideal place for me. I didn't choose to live in a political area. I disagree with a lot of stuff, and it was kind of like the combination of me having this dream actually don't feel the fact that I didn't feel belong to my native country in that sense.
Okay. So that, I guess that was how you decided then to immigrate. And it sounds like most of the information, which I know online to immigrate, is for immigrating to America. So how did you start finding the idea of going to Germany? Let's go.
So I'll explain because as I mentioned, it's a long process. So as I grew up, I didn't think about, just pack up and leave.
Right.
It was kind of like a thing that I always had in me. And then when I grew up, I had a desire to travel. So I traveled into so many destinations out there. And then the more I traveled, the more I was, open up to the world, the more I experienced stuff. And then I reached a certain point and took responsibility, basically. I sat down with myself, Maria, and asked myself, okay, where do you see your future in the next 10 years? Do you still see yourself with your current environment? What is that you want to do? And then those questions actually led me to immigrate. And this is actually a critical step that I do recommend for anybody who's in a crossroad or thinking about doing something. Sit down with yourself and ask yourself, plan your future, shape your life. It's all about you, basically. So then, when I decided that I wanted to immigrate, I started to look for a destination. The world is huge, as you may know.
Yes.
And we have so many destinations out there. It's endless, basically.
Yes.
And the main reason that led me to immigrate to Germany, actually, I had four main reasons. So the number one reason was the low cost of living and the apartment rent. I'm sure you know that right now in the US, especially in cities like New York, Los Angeles, the prices are very, very high regarding a cost of living and renting apartments.
Yes.
And back then, now actually the price in Berlin are going up, but it's still considered to be reasonable if you compare it to other cities.
Oh, okay.
And actually, I really like the fact that it's not fully industrial like other cities. There are a lot of green areas, and you feel different. It's a different, more easygoing atmosphere. So that was my number one reason to immigrate. The second one was the fact that Germany has the strongest economy in Europe.
Oh, okay.
So strongest economy means that you have employment stability, you have lots of options regarding jobs and regarding businesses. So I think that also you want to live in a country that takes care of you. Actually, as a resident or a citizen, you have lots of benefits from the government, which is good. Also, as I mentioned, it combines a social economic model with a capitalistic one. And I think it's a good thing because living in a 100% capitalistic country, it's not. Eventually, there will be gap between poor people and rich people, and I didn't want that. I wanted more equality, if I can call it like this. You in the US, you tend to call it work-life balance. That's the term that you use.
Uh-huh.
If you're looking at countries like Germany, Finland, Norway, Denmark, those
Uh-huh.
countries. And this was very, very appealing for me because I wanted to get out of the race. You know, the whole of the I didn't want to work a lot of hours and kill myself.
Uh-huh.
So I wanted also to have to have a decent life. If you can like
So I
this.
guess
So
what I
this
what
was
I want to do is, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I want to make sure we tell us, so you decided to go to Germany. So tell us, I guess the first step you said, because I want people to kind of get an idea, get some ideas and tips from the short interview. So the first thing is sit down with yourself and, kind of decide right on where you want to go. But I know you had told me there were some secrets or tips or things like that. So are they for just the secrets and the things that you said, the information? I know that you said people, it's not easy to find. So people are only going to really find it in your book that has a lot of unique things. Can you give us some like quick tips or quick ideas that might be really helpful to people if somebody out there? My podcast is heard all around the world. So I have a feeling there are people in lots of other places, maybe not in the US, but lots of other places that may want to immigrate to Germany. So give us some tips and ideas.
absolutely
Tips? Mhm.
and absolutely. So this is where we are coming to the third reason,
Right.
which is actually going to be a big hint for everyone.
Uh-huh.
Now, the third reason, actually,
Mhm.
I've been doing my research. I found out that Germany has a list of privileged countries.
Uh-huh.
Now, what do I mean by privileged countries?
Uh-huh.
Now, as you may know, Maria, if you live in Europe under the Schengen area,
Uh-huh.
you can work all over, right? So a person from Finland who possesses
Uh-huh.
a Finnish passport can come to Germany and work freely with
Right.
no visa,
Right. Exactly.
and vice versa.
Right.
So those countries are fully open. So
Uh-huh.
people tend to work, to move around. But if you
Mhm.
come out of the European Union, let's say that you do not have a European passport,
Mhm.
what should you do? So in this case, I actually found out that Germany has a privileged countries list. So though and those are the countries basically.
Mhm.
So United States, Canada, Israel, Australia, and New Zealand, United Kingdom now because of the Brexit,
Right.
Japan, and South Korea. Now, what's so special about those countries?
Mhm.
The thing is, if you are a citizen of those countries, you can come to Germany,
Mhm.
just go there, and
Uh-huh.
then once you find a job, you can do the bureaucratic procedure from within. So
Uh-huh.
you can enter the country freely. So you
Mhm.
don't have to possess a visa
Mhm.
prior to your arrival. So
I
you can just do what I did, basically take a suitcase, go, and then once you set up a job, you set up your status and continue from there.
Uh-huh.
So for me, it was very appealing because I didn't want to do any bureaucratic procedure prior to my arrival.
Right, right. Exactly.
So
Exactly.
this is a big hint for
Uh-huh.
everyone. Actually, I meet a lot of Americans and Canadians, and sometimes they choose not the exact path for them. So they come to study because they think that this
Right.
is the only option how they can stay,
Uh-huh.
but they don't have to. If they
Mhm.
already gained experience and they want to work immediately, they can
Uh-huh.
just come and apply for jobs. So
Okay.
they don't have to spend like 2 or 3 years in the university, which
Hmm.
can shorten their process
Exactly.
tremendously.
Exactly.
So the other reason why I immigrated was, believe it or not, my desire to learn a new language.
Uh-huh.
So, and this is why I didn't choose an English speaking country,
Uh-huh.
because I wanted to experience new culture,
Mhm.
new language. I want to learn new language, and actually, I enjoy the process really
Uh-huh.
very well. And yeah, I mean, I've done it with fun, and I like it. Now I can focus on more hits, on more hints, if you
Yeah, if you
like.
can tell us some quick tips and things. But I was going to say, I think if anything, I love the idea of because that is I before the pandemic and all, I was always traveling.
And I know the one thing I loved about traveling is experiencing, of course, I did study to be a linguist, so I love languages, but I love the experiencing of different cultures and different languages. So I think that's definitely a really interesting idea, to get to experience and learn a different language, a different culture, and make sure that you immerse yourself in the culture of whatever country, you choose to immigrate to get the full experience. But yes, give us some, we just have a couple minutes left. So just give us, if you have any quick tips or things like that, for somebody that is listening that might want to immigrate to, say, Germany.
So the biggest tips right now is, as I mentioned before, sit down with yourself, see that this is really something that you want to do, because this is a life-changing experience. Immigration is not like a temporary movement or a relocation. This is something that that will change your life forever. So take it seriously. Understand that the journey is not going to be easy, and also come with saving. Prepare yourself financially, because you don't know how long it's going to take you to find a source of income once you're there. Things tend to change really, really fast. So you may have some unexpected expenses. You don't know. So come with savings. And another hint that I would like to state is the fact that understand that this is a long process. Understand that you gotta prepare yourself mentally as well. So understand that this is a process that if you do it, if you fully focus in that process, you will succeed. If you take it step by step, you will succeed. Don't try to accelerate it. Just try to immerse yourself and just live it. Just understand that it's there, it's with you, and just take it one step at a time. This is my another tip that I would like to give to the audience.
Yes.
And the most difficult part will be to step out of your comfort zone, especially if you are married, if you already have kids. I find that people with families tend to live their routine life. They're more attached to their native countries, and that's why it's going to be even harder for them. Now, if you have a family, sit down with your family and make sure that this is a decision that you make with them together. Speak with your wife, speak with your kids, decide together, because the last thing that you want to do is to have arguments in the future. So you want to share with them your desire, and you want to see what they think about it.
Exactly.
Now for me, because I've done it on my own, I didn't have to consult with anyone. And because I'm a lonely wolf, I like to do things on my own. I actually done things pretty fast, so I had no interruptions. But it really depends on your character. Some people like to do it together. Some people, like myself, like to do it alone, and you can do it.
Yes. So I think it's really sounds like almost anything else. If it's something you really want to do, be patient. It's hard work, but it could be worth it, when it's finalized, but you need to be patient and spend some time working on it. It's not something that comes easy. Sounds like there's some work to it, just like anything else. So Erez, we're kind of out of time, but tell everyone where they can find this really interesting book and your website also.
Of course. So once again, the book is called Berlin's Immigration Secrets, available on Amazon. You can purchase both the Kindle version or the paperback version. My website is immigrationsecrets.net. In case you like to immigrate or you have interest in immigration, feel free to reach out. I'm available on LinkedIn as well, Erez Agam. You can ask me anything. I will give you free consultations. You don't have to pay anything to lawyers or anything like that. Save yourself this time and money. And the most important thing for me, Maria, is to help others. Because I know that somebody is listening right now. Maybe he's a young man or she's a young woman, and they have this dream and they want to immigrate. It's not an easy thing to do. People tend to dream about greener
pastures. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. But the hardest part is to make the first step. And I think that if you really, really have the desire to do it, you can achieve it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do have a dream, then this podcast is for you right now. This is for the 20% who will leave their native countries to live
Uh-huh.
elsewhere. This is for
Yes.
them.
Yes, definitely. Well, I think, as I said, I just find it very interesting. It's a really interesting topic, especially today. Great. So we can find your book, your website, and also people can reach you on LinkedIn, as you said, if they have any other further questions or anything, or might need a little bit of assistance also. So thanks so much, Erez Agam, for being here. And who knows, maybe we'll have you back in the future also for any follow-ups or anything. Thanks again.
It was my pleasure, Maria. Thank
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Maria Liberati Show. And thanks, as always, to my producer, Britton Roselle, and this week's guest, Erez Agam. And don't forget, save the date for my traditional Italian Easter bread bake-along on April 8th. And you can sign up for that on eventbrite.com. And also look for my new book, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking Diaries. This one is subtitled Seasons. And it's my culinary memoir with lots and lots of recipes. And as always, you can find the rest of my book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, Holidays and Special Occasions, and The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, Da Vinci Style, and all the other books in the series at marialiberati.com and at artoflivingprimamedia.com, on Amazon and barnesandnoble.com, and anywhere books are sold. And you can find me again at marialiberati.com, at thebasicartofitaliancooking.com, on Twitter at Maria Liberati, on Facebook at Chef Maria Liberati, on Instagram at Maria Liberati, on Pinterest at Maria Liberati, on LinkedIn at M Liberati, on the Maria Liberati channel on YouTube, and on my Roku channel, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking by Maria Liberati. Until next time, peace, love, and pasta.